has to be an easier way for this, you guys. All right, YouTube's still catching up. Oh, there we are. Okay, now let's get TikTok going. There we go. Good deal. Hey, everybody. Hey, Vicky. Hey, Linda. Let me see who is over here on Facebook. Hey, Vince. How are you? And Valerie. How are you guys today? And looks like people are starting to drift in on YouTube. So as you come in, be sure and let me know you're there. Let me know how you're doing. And we're going to be making handmade bows today. And I've got, this is just going to be a real simple handmade bow. I think anybody can do it. It's the simplest way I know how to teach how to make a bow. It's the one bow that I use the most commonly. But that's what we're going to be doing. I had some requests to show handmade bows. And actually, I've got two bows with pretty fancy ribbon that I've got to get done today. So I thought it'd be perfect timing. So as you come in, be sure, like I said, be sure and let me know how you're doing. Hey, Gail. And Valerie's bragging about her beautiful Florida weather. Well, Valerie, we are cold and rainy and very windy here in Indiana today. We've been windy for like a week. I mean, not just wind, but I mean strong wind for about a week. Today we're finally getting a little bit of rain, but I don't think it's going to be as much as we need. So, all right, so like I said, I'm going to be making two different handmade bows today. And the first one, I need to make a bow to go with this this church that I'm going to be making a wreath with. And you know, people are always asking me, how do you know what size bow to make? And you know, unfortunately, you can't just say a black and white answer. This church, it is pretty large. It's about, what is that? About 15, a little bit over 15 inches high, and it's pretty broad also. What is that? About 9 inches wide, and so it's a pretty substantial wreath attachment that I'm going to be adding here. So I can't just put a little wimpy bow on it. Regardless of what size wreath frame I use, if I just put a little bit of wimpy bow on here, the wreath is going to be off balance. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make this on a grapevine or if I'm going to use a evergreen wreath, but I have gone ahead and chosen my ribbons. And this is going to be a Christmas wreath. It should, I think, be able to translate or to continue on through the winter. But I wanted to be kind of a rustic, glam rustic. So that's how I chose my ribbons. And I'm just going to use 3 ribbons. And this particular piece, I want that really the church to be the star of the show. So while I want the bow to balance with it, I don't want it to overpower it. I am going to start out with this 4-inch ribbon. This is a luxury ribbon. It's 4 inches. I think it's from Regency, if I remember. Yeah, Regency, a wholesaler I use. But it has the imitation fur on it, and it's real luxe looking. It's just beautiful. But that's going to be my bottom ribbon. I don't want to cover this up a lot. I want to coordinate with it, but I don't want to overpower it. So yeah, I could put a gold with that too. It does have some gold trim to it. That's something I could add later if I decide to put some gold in the wreath. But right now I'm just thinking monochromatic, like this natural color, and then some white. But again, I could always add some gold if I want to later. And that would probably be, if to the bow I'm talking, that would probably be with just like a 5/8 inch little finishing touch on the bow. But I found this ribbon, and actually I'd forgotten I'd even ordered this ribbon. It just came in last week. And I do have some of it listed in my shop. But this is 2.5 inch. It feels like linen. It doesn't say on the package what it is, but it feels like linen. But it has the snowflakes, and again, it's got the white, what do they call those? Oh, good grief. Can't think of the name. Pom-poms. I couldn't think of that word. But I thought that would pair really nicely with this fur ribbon. It's going to give, this ribbon's going to have some texture just like this one does. And then I thought I'll probably add one more ribbon, and that's it. If I do, in fact, I don't know. I might just stop with these two. But I've got this burlap that has the chenille edge also. That's going to be my finishing ribbon. And then, like I said, I could always bring in that gold if I wanted to. But I haven't decided on that just yet. But I'll probably go ahead and do these three. So that's the one we're going to do first. I'm going to leave that church there because I wanted to show you how I am going to scale this. And again, this is a real simple bow technique. I think anybody can make it. You might be able to have a little bit more trouble if you have, real stiff hands, but it's the same recipe that you could use on an easy bow maker as well. Now, I'm going to start out with a long tail because, again, I don't know if I'm going to put this in an evergreen wreath. If I do, then I've got to account for that evergreen kind of lifting on that tail and shortening it up. I don't want to have it too short. I could always add another tail later if need be, but I don't want to have to do that. But first I'm going to start off, I'm just going to pinch this just like this, and I'm tucking under my edges as I'm doing it. Just like that. Okay, that's all I've got right now. Just pinched it. And again, I've got the edges turned under so that my loops lay right. And by the way, too, I forgot to tell you guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll come over and answer them as best I can after I get this bow made. It won't take very long, promise me, or I promise you. Okay, now, I don't have the wreath here, but I'm going to kind of lay this up next to my piece, and I'm going to make sure, I'm going to try to probably, it doesn't have to be exactly the height of this, the bulk of this church. I don't want it that big, obviously, but I'm wanting to fill up a good amount of this. So I'm coming in here, and I'm thinking that looks about right. By the time this, again, by the time this is sunk down into the wreath a little bit, it's going to be a good size because you're going to lose a little bit of the distance off that loop, especially, again, I'm kind of thinking I'm going to use an evergreen wreath. Okay, so that's all we've got right now. I've got that. All I did, I took that around just like this. Now I'm going to take it, I'm going to pinch it just like I did before, making sure my edges are turned under. Okay, now next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take that ribbon, I'm going to twist it 180 degrees. So now I'm going to see the right side of the ribbon. Okay. I'm trying to look on TikTok here, make sure I've got everything in the right. Maybe if I come over a little bit. I think that's, if I stay in the middle, maybe that's the best. Okay. All right. I really am trying to make it where you guys can see. All right. So all I've done, I've got my loop here that I've pulled around to the back. I've twisted it 180 degrees. I'm going to bring it back to the back. Just lifting that ribbon, bringing it back to the back. Just like that. I'm going to look at it. Does it look about even? Well, more or less. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now I'm just going to hold that. I'm going to pinch it back in there. fluff this out. At this point, if you want to, you could come up here and, compare your loops, just like that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take this ribbon, I'm going to do another 180-degree twist. So it's going to come out the top here now. Okay. So we brought it around the top, back to the back, twisted it, well, pinched it, then twisted it, bring it back to the back, pinched it, and twisted it. Okay. And I'm thinking I want to make one more loop on this side. Again, I'm thinking I'm going to make this on an evergreen. And the evergreen shape I'm thinking is going to be mostly round. I'm going to elongate an evergreen wreath and make it a little bit more of the oval shape. But I'm going to want 2 loops over here of this nice ribbon. And so I'm going to put 2 loops over here. I'll probably just leave 1 loop over here. If you can look at that and imagine that's how it's going to sit in the wreath. Okay, so I've got my ribbon twisted. I'm going to bring this back to the back, just like this. I can come up here and compare. I feel like I need to I'm going to move this camera over just a hair. I might have moved it the wrong way. Nope, I think that's better. Okay. My arms are about too short to stretch over that far. All right, so we took it around to the back. I'm going to pinch it again. Okay, so I've got the wrong side showing, right? So let's take it and twist it 180 degrees. Okay. So that's what it looks like so far. Now I'm not going to cut this tail because I want to get it in the wreath before I decide exactly how long I want this tail. And this is kind of pricey ribbon, so I don't want to waste it. So I'm just going to leave it attached to the bolt right now. But you can imagine that whenever I get it into the wreath, I'm going to have both of my tails coming down like this. And then this is going to be, as I'm looking at the wreath, this is going to be the left side of the wreath. And it's going to be kind of filling out that corner there. Okay? All right, now, get this one out of the way. Let's get our snowflake ribbon. Actually, I'm going to turn this upside down. This is really hard to do backwards, guys. I'm normally not holding it like this. Get all this fluffed out. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like whenever I get it in the wreath. Okay? All right, now I'm going to take my snowflake ribbon. Got it just like this. I'm just going to lay that right over the top of that. And again, I'm going to be generous with my tail. I want it to come out. I don't want it longer than that other one, but I want it long as that other one. Okay? So we've got our tails. I'm going to take that and I'm going to pinch it. Now I've got the good side of the ribbon facing upward. Okay, remember this is what the bow is going to look like when somebody's looking at it. So I want that tail facing where I can see it. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to pinch it. Now this ribbon, I'm just going to put 1 loop on this side. I think I'm going to put 1 loop on both sides actually, because I'm going to have the church over here. All right, so I'm going to pinch it. Again, I'm wanting to make sure my edges are turned under, which this one is not. Let me fix it. I'm going to twist it. I'm going to bring it back to the middle. I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller than this other loop here because I want this gorgeous ribbon to show. All right, I'm going to pinch it. Again, making sure I've got my edges turned under. I'm going to twist it 180 degrees. So now I'm going to be looking at the wrong side. I'm going to come back here to the middle. I'm going to pinch it. Okay, I'll bring that up there. This one we'll probably put about like that. And we'll still fuss with them and reposition it once we get it in the wreath. Okay, so it's a little bit, I know it looks a little bit off balance because we got 2 loops over here. We got 3 loops over here. We got 2 over here, but remember, I'm going to have an attachment here. If you wanted to go ahead and make 2 loops on both sides or on opposing sides, you could. I would start on the other side though with the ribbon. All right, now we're done with that ribbon. Again, I'm going to leave it attached though. And however many ribbons I add, I'm just going to keep repeating the pattern. And I'm going to put this burlap ribbon. Again, I'm just going to lay it over the top. Just like that. Look at my tail, make sure it's about the same length. Okay. I'm going to lay it over the top. I'm going to pinch it, twist it, bring it back to the center. This one I'm going to make somewhat smaller because I want to draw in the center of my bow. We won't have a true what you call center loop, but I want to have it, you know, kind of draw the eye inward. I don't want a big hollow place here. All right, now I'm going to pinch it, twist it, bring it back to the center. Then we're going to pinch it, and that's that. Okay. Now I'm going to take a pipe cleaner, and I like to use, actually I probably should have used an evergreen now that I've decided I'm going to put this in evergreen wreath, but I grabbed a brown pipe cleaner because I was thinking I might do a grapevine wreath, but it doesn't matter. I just use that because it's less cleanup on the back of the wreath, but typically in my wreaths you don't see the center where you're going to see the pipe cleaner anyway. It'll be the back that's going to involve the cleanup. But what I'll do, I'll take this, now I'm going to take it right there by the meat of my thumb, right along there underneath all that ribbon. You'll see it come out between the middle and the pointer finger. I'll take it over the top like this, and then I just kind of even it up back here in the back. And I pinch it, and I just twist it a couple of times. I don't want a big stalk here on the back of my bow because I want the bow to be nice up and snug against my wreath. I don't want a big stalk here. So I just twist it a couple of times just where it's stable. Okay, so this is what the bow is going to look more or less on the wreath. I usually try to, if I just put the one loop, I try to put it pretty diagonal looking, kind of like this. Okay. All right. Easy peasy, right? It's nothing fancy to it. It's just pretty straightforward. We're going to make another one, though. Okay. I'm going to look and see if I have any questions here. Oh, gosh. Thank you for all the follows. I appreciate that. Follows and the likes. Thank you so much. All right. Let me see if I have any questions here. Oh, Jamie, you got your ribbons. Good deal. I'm not pulling up on YouTube. I am on my side, Jamie. I'm not sure what's going on, but I haven't lost my stream on YouTube here. Is anybody else? There's 8 people watching over on YouTube. Hey, Cindy. Oh, thank you, Jean. Thank you so much. Yes, we're blessed. Hey, Pam. Okay, anybody have any questions? Whoops, wrong one. Jackie has a great question. She's asking, does your hand ever get tired of holding the ribbon? I tell you what, if your hand, no, my hand does not, because usually if your hand gets tired, you're holding it too tight, number one. Number two, and that I forgot to point this out. If you'll notice, I'm not holding my ribbon out here on the tips of my fingers. I'm not holding it there. I'm holding it, as I put more ribbon in, it's drifting back to the back and to the, more of the palm of my hand. And I just have it held just enough to where the ribbon's not going anywhere. I mean, you can slide this out pretty easily if you pulled on it, but yeah, if your hand's getting tired, you're probably holding it too tight and or out on the tips of your fingers. So let that ribbon just kind of drift back to the back and the palm of your hand as you make that bow. And I'll try to show you that as I'm making the next bow. Great question, though. Thank you for asking. All right, any other questions? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the likes and follows. Thank you, thank you. Okay, all right, let's make another one. This is going to be another large bow. And this is a repeat design. This is always a popular wreath on every Christmas that I make. It's a Santa Claus wreath. And this one I do put on an evergreen wreath base. I usually put it on a flocked one. I'll show you what I'm going to use. It's a 24-inch, and I leave this one round, whereas with the church, it's more elongated. So I'm making that a little bit more oval. Not quite into an oval, but a little bit more elongated. This one's going to be a round wreath. And again, I'm going to show you how I've made this wreath so many times, I kind of know how big my bow needs to be, but I want to show you. And I'm making, again, these are pretty expensive ribbons, nice designer ribbons. This is a Ferrosilk ribbon. I think I have some of this in my shop if anybody's interested. I'm going to be using this, just a solid red. You got to use red velvet when you're talking about Santa Claus, right? And it's a 4-inch. And then I've also got another 4-inch ribbon that is the black and white plaid with the red trim. The back has just a red, like a canvas material. Very stiff, nice ribbon. I don't think I have any of this in my shop right now. And then this ribbon is a 2.5-inch. It's kind of a frosted, like a candy cane stripe. One thing I wanted to tell you about this ribbon, it's beautiful, and I love it. I love to use it. I use it every Christmas. It doesn't photograph real well, though. So you got to take that into consideration. When you're putting it in your wreath, it's really hard to get good photos with this. If you're going to use it as a primary ribbon or just the only ribbon, I'd advise combining it with a few things. All right, and then I'm going to finish up with this red velvet 1.5-inch ribbon with a chenille edge. Okay, so all of them are really nice ribbons. But like I said, I've made this a lot of times, so I'm just going to keep the same. If it works, why fix it, right? All right, so let's start out. I'm going to get, oh, I bet I don't have enough ribbon. Let me look here. I didn't realize we were at the end of this. Well, no. I better get another roll of this, guys. Hang on just a second. Let me run and get it. I didn't realize I was about out. this ribbon's so thick it fooled me. I checked on it to make sure I had enough, but I sure don't. Okay. Oh, wait. No wonder it's cut. That's why. Okay. Get a little sidetracked there. All right. Now, say I was making this this design, and I've got this wreath base. Now, the attachment for this is also pretty large, so it's going to be another large bow. Typically, I'll put it over here. I'll put my attachment here. I'll put a sign up there. I do not put an extra loop on this particular wreath because it's pretty full the way it is. All right, so we've got our ribbon. Right side is facing us. Okay, I'm just going to bring it up here. I'm going to compare it to my wreath. I want a nice long tail, especially this is going to be the back ribbon. So that needs to be the longest. So I don't want to short myself on this one. And again, I got to consider when I pinch this and I put it down in there, I'm going to lose an inch or two off my tail. So got the right side facing me. I'm going to pinch it. I'm going to tuck my edges under. I'm kind of drifting off screen again here. Hard thing is it's opposite of what I'm seeing. If I go this way, it goes the other way on the screen. That's great. It's confusing to me. All right, so I'm going to come up here, and usually I do about a 7-inch bow loop on this particular bow. And I'm going to just put it up here. And like I said, I already know how big my attachment is. I don't have him right here at the table, or I'd show you, but he covers pretty much the whole side of the wreath. Then I'm going to have a sign. But this is probably about a 7-inch bow loop. It looks appropriate. This is a 24-inch evergreen wreath. All right, so I've got my bow loop. Let me measure it just to see if I'm about right. Yep, exactly 7 inches. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to let me make sure I've got where you guys can see. Okay. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to pinch it. I've already looked at my bow size or bow loop size, and I'm happy with that. Okay. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to twist this. Twist it 180 degrees. Make sure everything's the way it should be. I didn't get that side, so let's get that back under. Okay, so I'm seeing the right side of the ribbon again. Let's bring it back behind. I'm going to look and see, is it about comparable? I think it looks okay. This is the back side. We went just right around to the back. We're going to pinch it. Okay. Again, I can compare it. I thought it was right, but it looks a little bit short, so I'm going to up here. Okay, now it looks good. So I've got the wrong side of the ribbon showing. I need one more tail. Twist it 180 degrees. Make sure it's 120 or 180. Okay. And we'll bring that tail down here in front. Okay, so that's what I've got right now. Now, you guys, if you don't want to go into layering your ribbons and that, this bow right here would make a stunning statement on a Christmas wreath. So don't feel like you've got to go all crazy and keep adding ribbons. Just sometimes simple is best. Okay? All right. Whoops. Let me get that. That slipped out. All right, now look where I've got my ribbon. Remember we were talking about hands getting tired? I've got my ribbon all the way back here. I'm just barely holding on with the tips of my fingers. Now, if I had a death grip on it, yes, my hands are going to get tired. They're also going to get sore. But, yeah, I've got a lot of hand problems, obviously, from years of training horses and now making bows. My hands, I've got a lot of trouble with my hands. And I don't have problems with my hands cramping up. All right, again, I'm going to leave this attached. I'm going to get my second ribbon here. Get you plenty of ribbon off. Okay, I'm going to lay my tail over the top. Let me make sure that I've got plenty of it. Okay, just laying it right over the top. We're going to pinch it. Okay, you know what comes next. We're going to twist it. I need to get more ribbon off here. I'm running out of room. I'm going to twist it 180 degrees. I'm going to bring it back to the middle. I'll make it just a hair shorter than the other ribbon, the other loop. Okay. I'll pinch it. I'm going to twist it 180 degrees. This is really stiff ribbon. Now, if you're new to hand making or handmade bows, I don't recommend getting anything like this. This is kind of tough to handle even if you make a lot of bows because it's really stiff. It's really nice ribbon. When you put it where you want it, it's going to stay there, but it's tough to work with. All right, so I've got this twisted, looking at the wrong side. I need one more loop. I'm going to bring it back to the middle. I'm kind of fixing out these waves too. This wire is a little bit wavy just from being on the bolt. All right, so I've got my second loop here. That's all I need. I'm going to put one on either side of each of these ribbons. I'm going to take it and I'm going to pinch it. Make sure my edges are tucked under, which this one is not, so I'm going to fix it right now. I'm going to check my loops. Okay. And again, look where my hand is, or where my ribbon is. Way back here. All right. So there's our second ribbon. Now the next layer is this 2.5-inch ribbon. We're just going to keep repeating this process. I'm going to put this over the top. I'm just comparing it with my other tail there. I'm going to start pinching it. Check my edges. This is another really stiff ribbon. Now this one I'm going to make a little bit shorter than this last one. Twist it, 180. This ribbon's almost like a plastic. All right, let's come back here in the middle. Let me check my loops here. I want it a little bit smaller. Doesn't have to be exact science. Okay, let's pinch it. Okay, let's twist it and bring it back to the middle. Pinching it as we come in. All right, let's check our loops. And this part is not an absolute. I usually, when I tie my ribbons, I usually make it loose enough where I've got a little play in here where I can come back and I can adjust them if I need to. All right, now the last ribbon here. It's going to be that 1.5-inch. And I must have pinned it there. Let's get rid of that. I'm just trying to get enough ribbon off here. I've got kind of cramped quarters, guys. All right, we're going to lay that over the top, just like we've been doing. Need a little bit longer. Okay. I'm going to lay it here. And get that underneath there. Okay. All right, now we're going to twist. Bring it back to the middle. This ribbon's going to be somewhat shorter. Again, I'm wanting to draw that eye to the center and close up the center of the bow. I'll pinch it. I'm going to twist it. And bring it back to the center. And pinch it. Make sure I've got my loops about right. Now I'm going to start twisting here. And again, I like to have my ribbons diagonal. Like I want the one loop, the red loop to be over here. I want to see a red loop over there. I'm going to bring the plaid over here. This other side, I'm going to bring it down here. Get my tail down. And then this one I'll bring up kind of in between on both sides. And then let's do this with the velvet. All right. Now this ribbon is so thick and bulky. I had pulled a pipe cleaner, but that's not going to be enough to hold this. So I'm going to get a zip tie out here. And I'm going to use that to secure this because I'm afraid a pipe cleaner is going to be not enough. All right, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to make sure the little knob is pointing down toward the foot, toward my feet. I'm going to put it right there, right by the meat of my hand. Right there by the meat of my thumb, I mean. It's coming out between my middle and my index finger, underneath all this ribbon. I'm going to bring that over the top. And then I'm going to cinch it down lightly until I'm happy with what I've got. So I'm going to, so once I cinch it down all the way, then it's pretty well set. I'll make sure all my tails are going in the right direction. All my bow loops go in the right direction. More or less, I should say. There's my other chenille tail. There it is. Got lost in there. And at this point I'm making sure too that all my edges are turned the right direction, meaning I've got them tucked under. All right, and this loop looks a little bit smaller than this, so I'm going to take time now and fix that. Still just a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put my pipe cleaner now underneath here. Just right underneath that zip tie. And I'll cinch this down. I'm not going to cinch it super tight at this point because that way I can still do a little adjusting once I get it in there. And like I said, I've left all those attached to the ribbon bolts so I can trim them to the size I want once I get to the point where I'm going to put this bow in my wreath. Alrighty. But that's the way I make my handmade bows. There are all kinds of different methods. If you have a method that works for you, by all means, keep doing it. But that's the way I make the bulk of my wreath bows. So I'm going to look and see if there's any questions here. Christy's asking, do I use floral wire to secure my bows? I do when I use the Pro Bow, but then I always go back and cover it, that floral wire, because I use 26 gauge floral wire. I'm going to raise you guys up so I can see you now. I use 24 gauge floral wire. or I'm sorry, 26 gauge floral wire on the Pro Bow, and it's kind of fine, but it's what you need to use so you can manipulate the ribbon. Sorry guys, I know I'm jumping you guys around. I want to see you. But even, like I said, even with the floral wire, I still go back and I secure it with a zip tie and then put a pipe cleaner through it, because that 26 gauge wire will break. So I don't want that to happen. Okay. All right, let me see if there's any other questions here, but good questions. You guys are asking good questions today. Thank you. Okay. Like the zip tie option too. Yeah, I probably use that the least amount. I use it when I've got real big, bulky ribbon. Most times I'm using a pipe cleaner though. Now you can also, if you don't have zip ties, you can use 2 pipe cleaners twisted together. And so I've done that at times too, when I decided that my wreath's too deep and I don't want to squash my bow down inside the wreath. I'll use two of them. So, oh, good, Christy. I'm glad that answers your question. How wide are the first 2 ribbons? On the black and white one, the first 2 ribbons are 4-inch. I know to me, the red looks wider, but they're not. They're both 4-inch ribbons. Okay. All right. Let me see if they got any more questions, guys. And if you did put a question, just be sure and if I missed it, just put it back in the comments, because it's hard to see all of them. Oh, Brenda, yeah, it just takes practice. I mean, I've been making handmade bows for years, and I still mine are not always perfect. A lot of time I redo them. Maybe I don't like the the ribbon combo, or maybe I messed up on my loop, something like that. One time I was talking and I put my ribbon in backwards. Had the wrong side showing. So there's that. So it just takes practice. And anybody tells you they're perfect all the time, they're lying. Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you. Oh, Jackie. Yeah, I've got my ribbon all assorted. I've got it by color and season. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. Hey, Carol. Oh, yeah, Jackie, that church is gorgeous. I can't wait to use it. All right, let me see. Any other questions? And like I said, if I missed your question, just be sure and let me know in the comments again, because some of them get lost. Oh, Joyce says she bought a bow maker because I have arthritis. Yes, but Joyce, you can still use that same recipe on your bow maker. Like sometimes if I've got say that exact same bows that I just made, if I need to repeat that and make them exactly the same, sometimes I will go ahead and put it on the Easy Bow Maker, because that way then I know that it's the exact same. So, oh, what kind of horses did I have? I used to show and train for a living. That was what I did before I became a nurse practitioner. I used to show and train quarter horses and racking horses. I had a guy bring me well, actually I had 2 walking horses that people brought me to train, just green break. And I really had a ball riding those. It took me a while to get used to them, but they were very smart, smarter than some of my quarter horses, but I always had fun riding them. So, all right, any other questions? All right. And like I said, I do have this one ribbon that I listed in my shop at Box My Bow. I've got this with the snowflakes and the pom-poms. It's in my shop. I just listed that today. And then I think I've got some of this. I I think I have like 3 different kinds of red velvet, if I remember. I've got like a 2.5 outdoor. I still need to order some other sizes of the outdoor. I've got this fair silk to die for ribbon. It's beautiful. And then I think I've got another, if I remember right, but don't quote me on that. But and then I do have all the fall ribbon, fall and Halloween ribbon are 25% off today. So you might check it out. Maybe you can get you a bargain in there. And there's still a lot of nice ribbons listed. So, okay. Was each of my layered bows wrapped in 2s? The red bow, I just did 2 loops, 1 on either side. The other one, my base ribbon, I put 2 loops of the fancy ribbon. Let me show you. I put 2 loops on one side of this ribbon because I needed to fill in a gap over here, and then just 1 on either side of the others. So, but there's 2 of this one on this side, 1 on this side, and there's a reason for it. It's hard to describe, but I'll show you whenever I get the wreath put together. What is my website? For my bows, it's boxmybow.com, and I do have a link in my bio on TikTok. I'm not allowed, I can't put the link in the comments for you guys, and it should be on Facebook and YouTube. Let me make sure. Let me put it on here. I don't have it on YouTube yet, but it will be. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thank you for the hearts. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks again for being here. I really appreciate it. And just shoot me a line if you have any questions, or if you go to my shop and you have any questions about any of the products in there, I can always help you with that too. A large bow that you made, couldn't Debbie make on the board with the bet? Couldn't that be made on the bow maker? Yes, yes, absolutely. You could put that same. And like I said, sometimes I will make that. If I have to make an exact size of several bows, I'll do that same recipe on my bow maker. It's a little bit less predictable on, when I'm making it by hand. So, okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. As always, I really appreciate you. And if you have any crafty friends that might benefit from this, if you wouldn't mind sharing that to them as well, I'd really appreciate that. And I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.